Hello, gentle one, and welcome into the Sleepy Dreamer. Tonight you do not have to solve anything. You only have to arrive. Let your jaw loosen. Let your tongue rest. Let your shoulders slide down, as if they had been waiting all day for permission. Notice the bed beneath you, steady and patient. Notice how gravity holds you without effort, how it does not ask for thanks, how it simply stays. And if your thoughts are still moving, that is all right. They can move. Take one slow breath. Not forced, not counted. Just the kind of breath a body takes when it remembers it is safe. In the room around you, there is a quiet. Not perfect silence. No. A real quiet. The kind that includes small sounds and does not mind them. Maybe a distant engine softened by walls. Maybe the shy tick of cooling pipes. Maybe the faint, faithful hum of something that keeps working while you rest. And somewhere nearby, whether you can see it or not, there is a table, a simple surface, level and waiting. It might be a kitchen table, or a desk, or a small nightstand holding a glass of water. In the dimness, it becomes a little stage, not for a performance, for presence. Imagine that table now, as clearly as you like. The edge of it, smooth or worn. The grain in the wood, like a slow river paused mid-flow. Or maybe it is metal, cool and clean. Or glass, faintly reflecting the room in a soft blur. The table is not asking you to think. It is only asking you to notice. On it, there are a few ordinary things. A mug, perhaps, still holding a hint of warmth in its ceramic bones. A spoon, catching a sliver of dim light. A book with pages that smell faintly like paper and time. A glass of water, quiet as a held breath. If you want, you can imagine your hand reaching out, not moving in real life, only in the mind where motion is easy. The mug feels smooth, a little cool at the rim. The spoon feels colder, a small piece of night captured in metal. The book feels dry, gentle and slightly textured, like a leaf that chose to become a story. And the water is its own kind of calm. In the dim room, every object becomes more than itself, not because it changes, but because you finally have time to see it. This is where we begin, not with a classroom, not with a test, with a table, with a few humble things, with a body that is allowed to soften, and underneath all of it, like a quiet language spoken in the dark, there is chemistry. Not the sharp, busy kind, not the chemistry of bright diagrams and hurried explanations. Tonight, it is the chemistry of being, the chemistry of almost everything that touches your life. You do not need to name it yet. You can simply feel that there is a pattern beneath the pattern, a gentle arrangement under the ordinary. There is a way the mug is a mug and not a puddle, a way the spoon holds its shape, a way the water stays together and does not scatter into mist the moment you look away. These are not miracles, and they are not accidents. They are agreements, tiny, ancient agreements made in the deep grammar of matter. If you listen closely, you can almost hear the room breathing, the air moving in and out of your lungs, the subtle shift of warmth across your skin, the faint coolness where the blanket does not touch. The table holds its objects, the air holds its quiet, and your body holds you. All of this holding, all of this resting. And yet, if you could shrink yourself down, smaller and smaller, drifting down through scale like sinking through warm water, you would find something surprising. You would find that what feels solid is, in a certain sense, mostly space. This is one of those scientific truths that can sound strange in daylight. But at night, it can feel like relief. The atoms that make up the mug and the spoon and the table and your own skin are not packed tight like grains of sand pressed together. They are more like airy structures, like vast cathedrals built from a few pillars and a great deal of open room. At the centre of each atom there is a nucleus, tiny and dense. Around it, electrons are not little planets circling on neat tracks, at least not in the way old pictures used to show. They're more like a soft presence, a haze of possibility spread through space. So much space, so much quiet room. And still you can feel the table under your fingertips in the mind. Still you can feel the blanket on your body in the real. How can something made of so much empty space feel so sure? The answer is gentle. The answer is touch without touching. Atoms have edges you cannot see. They have electric fields, delicate and strong. They have charges and attractions, little invitations and little boundaries. When you rest your hand on a table, you're not pressing into solid rock so much as meeting a careful resistance, a polite refusal, an invisible cushion made from forces that do not want to overlap. It is like two clouds deciding where to meet, like two melodies finding harmony and not becoming the same song. And this too is chemistry, the quiet behaviour of matter, the way it keeps its shape, the way it holds. There is something comforting in this, the idea that solidity is not harsh, it is not brute, it is a relationship. A table is a web of tiny agreements held steady by countless small balances. A spoon is a lattice of atoms, each one in place, not because it is trapped, but because it is comfortable there. A mug is a gathering of particles that learned over time how to stay close, and you. You're not separate from this. Your body is not a visitor in the world of matter. It is matter, warmed into life. It is chemistry that learned how to sing. Let that thought settle, the way dust settles in a quiet room. No rush. No push. If your mind wants to understand, it can. If it wants to drift, it can. Tonight, we're not climbing toward answers, we're sinking toward comfort. You might notice, as you lie there, the simple sensations that prove you are part of the physical world. The weight of your head, the warmth behind your knees, the coolness at your fingertips. All of these sensations are messages delivered through chemistry. Not loud messages, soft ones. The air touches your skin, and molecules meet your body's surface like curious travellers arriving at a quiet shore. Heat moves from warmer places to cooler ones, not as a decision, but as a natural leaning. Your blanket holds warmth close, trapping little pockets of air that slow the night's cool breath. Even stillness has motion in it. Even rest is alive with quiet movement. If you could see the table closely, closer than eyes can go, you would see that nothing is truly still. Atoms vibrate, they hum, they sway in place like tiny lanterns trembling in a wind you cannot feel. But it is not an anxious movement, it is the movement of being. And the room itself is made of these hums, the walls, the floor, the bed frame, the glass of water, the air between everything. Chemistry is not only in explosions and bright colours, it is also in the calm persistence of ordinary things, in the way your pillow remains soft, in the way your breath continues. You might imagine now that the table is set for a quiet meal, but the guests are invisible. Atoms sitting politely beside one another, molecules leaning close, sharing small stories made of charge and shape. The mug contains a memory of heat. The spoon remembers the chill of a drawer. The water holds a reflection of darkness broken only by a faint glimmer, and beneath your own ribs your heart makes its steady sound. not loud, reliable. Each beat is a little chemical event, though you do not need to name the steps. A cascade of ions moving, proteins shifting shape, cells listening to signals and responding without asking your permission. It is all happening for you. It is all happening as you rest. There is a sweetness in that, a kindness. You have spent so much of your life thinking you must hold everything together. But chemistry has been holding you together since before you could speak, before you could worry, before you could understand. It is the oldest caretaker you have ever known. Let your breathing grow a little softer now, not slower necessarily. Just softer. Your breath enters, cool and quiet. Your breath leaves, warm and faint. Each inhale draws in air that is mostly nitrogen, with oxygen mixed in, and a trace of other gases, each molecule moving with its own tiny speed. Each exhale returns carbon dioxide and water vapor, little offerings back to the room. You do this without trying. You do this while dreaming. You do this while forgetting. The body is so wise in its simplicity. Now, come back to the table again, and notice how the objects are different kinds of matter, different kinds of arrangements. The water is fluid, willing to change its shape. The spoon is firm, holding its form. The mug is solid, but also fragile, a structure that can crack if the forces change too suddenly. And the air is matter too, though it feels like nothing. It presses against your skin, it fills your lungs, it carries sound. It is full of molecules moving, colliding softly, like invisible fish in a dark sea. If you listen, you can hear the room's smallest music, a faint settling, a far-off hush, your own breath, the nearest tide. Chemistry is not only what things are made of, it is also how they behave, how they meet, how they separate, how they remain. But tonight, we start with what is simplest. We start with the idea that everything you touch is made of pieces too small to see, arranged in patterns that feel like certainty. And those pieces, those atoms, are mostly space, like a secret the universe keeps, not to hide, but to soften. Imagine that emptiness now, not as absence, but as room. Room for motion, room for warmth, room for change, room for life. The solid table is a kind of illusion, and not a cruel one, a gentle illusion, a dependable one, a place where your mind can set things down, a place where your thoughts can set themselves down too. You may have carried many thoughts into this night, lists, memories, sharp edges of worry, small regrets that keep tapping at the mind like a moth at glass. Let those thoughts sit on the table for a moment, not to examine them, just to place them somewhere, the way you might set down keys after a long day. Set them down, one by one. A thought about tomorrow, a thought about yesterday, a thought about something you wish you had said. Set them down. The table does not judge. The table does not demand. It only holds. And beneath the table, beneath the floor, beneath the building, the planet holds you too. A vast body made of rock and metal and water, spinning in a dark sea of space, held to the sun by gravity, held together by its own internal chemistry. Even the ground is a kind of patient arrangement. Minerals formed over long time, crystals grown in deep pressure, elements that once burned inside stars, now cooled into stone, but that is later. For now, we stay close. For now, we keep the world small enough to feel safe. The table, the mug, the spoon, the water, and you, breathing. If you like, you can imagine that the dim light in the room is a slow, golden thing, moving gently across the objects. It touches the glass, and the glass answers with a faint shimmer. It touches the spoon, and the spoon answers with a tiny gleam. It touches the mug, and the mug stays mostly matte, holding the light like a warm secret. Light itself is part of this story, photons meeting electrons, being absorbed or reflected depending on energy and structure. But you do not have to follow the details. You can simply feel that the world is full of tiny meetings, each one shaping what you see. Everything you notice is chemistry translated into sensation. The coolness of metal, the softness of paper, the faint smell of wood, the taste of water, the warmth of your own breath. These are the ways the universe whispers to you. And when you are tired, those whispers can become lullabies. The sleepy dreamer is a place where we let science become gentle, where facts do not rush, where wonder is allowed to be quiet. Tonight, chemistry is not a subject. It is a companion. It sits with you at the table of the night, and it does not speak loudly. And simply reminds you that you are part of a world that knows how to hold itself together. Even now, as you lie there, the atoms in your body are in constant quiet motion. They are not chaotic. They are not lost. They are following the soft rules of nature, rules written not in words but in attraction, in energy, in balance. Your skin is a boundary made of molecules. Your bones are a scaffold of minerals and proteins. Your blood is a moving river of salts and water and iron-bearing molecules, carrying oxygen with steady devotion. And yet, in all that complexity, you do not have to do anything. You do not have to manage it. The chemistry of your body is already at work, already steady, already caring for you. So let your forehead smooth, let your eyes rest in their sockets, let your hands lie where they want to lie. If you feel the urge to move, you can move slowly the way water shifts in a glass. If you feel the urge to be still, you can be still, the way a stone rests at the bottom of a stream. Nothing is required. Now, return one more time to that single soft fact, the one we tucked into the beginning like a small seed. Atoms are mostly empty space, and still they make a world that can hold you. In that emptiness, there is room for breath. In that emptiness, there is room for dreams. In that emptiness, there is room for the night to spread out and soften. The table is set, not for hunger, for rest. And as the room grows quieter around you, you can almost imagine those invisible pieces, those patient particles settling together on the tabletop, close and calm, as if the night itself has taken a seat to listen. And perhaps, somewhere in that gentle space, the atoms are listening too. The table remains steady and patient, even as your attention begins to drift inward. Nothing moves suddenly. It is more like a slow leaning, the way a thought tilts when it grows curious. The objects are still there, the mug, the spoon, the glass of water holding its quiet reflection. But now something else becomes noticeable. Not the things themselves, but the space between them. The air. You feel it again as you breathe in. Cooler this time. Or maybe you're simply noticing it more. Breath comes in, breath goes out. And in that gentle rhythm the room seems to soften further. Edges blur just a little. Sounds lose their sharpness. Steam rises from the mug, if it is still warm in your imagining, not fast. Just a thin, pale ribbon lifting and dissolving before it can decide on a shape. Dust floats somewhere nearby, invisible until a narrow stripe of light catches it. Each particle drifts without urgency, rising, falling, turning, as if the air itself is thinking. The refrigerator hums low and constant like a distant engine travelling through sleep. Pipes tick once, then fall quiet again. These small motions are not interruptions, they are invitations. They remind you that stillness does not mean frozen, it means balanced. And somewhere inside the balance, curiosity begins to glow. Not the sharp curiosity that demands answers, the soft kind, the wondering kind. How do all these pieces agree to be here? How does the mug remain a mug even as steam leaves it? How does the water stay gathered in the glass instead of spreading across the table? How does the air move freely yet still press gently against your skin? You do not ask these questions out loud. They arrive quietly, like a breeze shifting a curtain. Chemistry begins here, not in formulas, in noticing, in the way matter seems aware of itself, responding to nearness and distance, in the way things recognize when they belong together and when they should remain apart. Atoms are not lonely, they are responsive. Each one carries a small charge, a subtle personality shaped by its structure. Some lean toward others, some keep a polite distance, some share, some exchange. It is not emotion, and yet it feels almost like preference. If you imagine shrinking again, drifting down through scale, passing the smooth surface of the mug, slipping between the atoms that form its solid body, you would find a gentle choreography. Electrons do not sit still. They do not march in lines. They exist as probabilities, as soft regions where they are likely to be found. Not dots, clouds. This is one of the quieter truths of the universe. Electrons are not tiny beads circling a nucleus like planets around a sun. They are more like fog, more like breath on cold air, more like a suggestion than a location. They spread themselves out, responding to energy, to nearby charges, to the presence of other atoms. And because they are spread out, because they are uncertain, atoms can sense one another before they ever touch. Uncertainty, it turns out, is what allows connection. There is something comforting in that. The edges of matter are soft. The boundaries are flexible. Nothing is as rigid as it seems. The mug and the air are already in conversation, electrons adjusting ever so slightly where surfaces meet. Your skin and the blanket are doing the same, tiny fields interacting, pressure and warmth negotiating their balance. You do not feel these negotiations, you feel the result: comfort, contact, rest. The room is full of these silent exchanges, every object sensing its neighbours, every surface responding to what comes near. Even now, as you lie still, your body is not isolated. It is part of the room's quiet dialogue. Air molecules bounce gently against your skin, transferring energy, carrying away warmth, bringing it back again. Light touches your closed eyelids, faint and red-shifted, filtered through skin and blood. Sound waves brush past your ears, even if you barely notice them. All of this is chemistry in motion. Not dramatic, continuous. And the more you let yourself feel it, the more the world seems less like a collection of objects and more like a web of relationships. Nothing exists alone. Everything is responding. The steam from the mug rises because warmer molecules move faster, spreading out, lifting into cooler air. Dust drifts because collisions with air molecules keep it suspended, nudged and guided by invisible impacts. Sound travels because particles press into one another, passing motion along like a whispered message. You are listening to chemistry right now, feeling it, breathing it, and inside the atoms themselves, electrons shift and sway, their probability clouds overlapping when atoms draw close. When two atoms approach one another, their electron clouds begin to interact. They feel attraction or repulsion, depending on charge, on energy, on structure. It is not a decision, it is a response, like warmth spreading from one hand to another, like the way your breath naturally deepens when you relax. Matter notices matter. This noticing is what allows things to come together. It is what allows water to bead. It is what allows metals to shine. It is what allows living cells to form. And yet there is no hurry in it. The universe is very patient. You can feel that patience now in the pace of the room. Nothing is rushing you. Nothing is pulling. Even curiosity is unforced. You might notice that your thoughts too behave like clouds. They do not move in straight lines. They gather. They thin. They overlap. One thought drifts near another, and for a moment they share space. Then one dissolves, and the other continues. There is no need to hold on to any of them. Just as electrons are not fixed points, your thoughts do not need to be either. Let them be fuzzy at the edges. Let them remain uncertain. Uncertainty is not confusion here. It is softness. As you lie there, you may feel your body grow heavier or lighter. You may feel warmth spread or a gentle coolness settle. These are signals of balance being found. Chemistry is always seeking lower energy states, places where systems can rest more comfortably. Atoms bond when it lowers their energy. Heat flows when it evens out differences. Reactions proceed until they reach a calm plateau. Rest is written into the laws of nature. You do not have to argue with it. The room knows how to settle. The night knows how to deepen. Your body knows how to sleep. All of this is guided by interactions so small they escape your senses, yet so consistent they build worlds. From this still table, from this quiet air, the same principles extend outward. They shape stones and oceans. They shape stars and dust. They shape the chemistry of your own cells. The same electrons that blur softly around atoms in the mug blur softly around atoms in your bones. The same uncertainty that allows molecules to meet allows life to be flexible, resilient, alive. You're not held together by rigidity. You're held together by responsiveness. And that responsiveness continues even as you let go. Your breathing grows slower now, or perhaps just deeper. The space between thoughts widens. You're not falling asleep yet. You're floating toward it. The room feels a little larger. The table feels a little farther away. The objects on it are still there, but they no longer demand attention. Instead, your awareness drifts into the space where motion begins, into the place where matter wonders how close it wants to be. And in that gentle wandering, electrons continue their quiet dance, spreading and overlapping like low clouds at dusk, never still, never hurried, brushing past one another in the dark. Those low clouds of electrons linger for a while, soft and unhurried, and as they drift, something subtle begins to change. Not abruptly, not with a sound, just a sense of closeness. You might feel it first in your own body, the way your hands rest against fabric, the way your back meets the bed, the way warmth gathers where surfaces touch. Closeness is never sudden, it is negotiated. Two hands rest near each other, not pressed tight, not drifting away. Just close enough to share warmth, just close enough to feel present. In the quiet room, molecules are doing the same. They approach, they pause, they sense. Atoms with their soft electron clouds feel one another before they ever meet. They recognize charge, they recognize shape, They recognize the subtle pull that says you can come closer now. This is where holding begins. At first, there is only nearness, a gentle awareness across space, a quiet testing of distance, and then, sometimes, atoms decide to stay. Not because they must, because it is easier together. When atoms form bonds, they do so by sharing or exchanging electrons, finding arrangements that lower their overall energy. This is the simple science beneath the poetry. Energy wants to settle. Systems lean toward comfort. It is not so different from the way your body shifts in bed until it finds the place where muscles can soften. Not too tense, not too loose, just right. In a bond, electrons belong to more than one atom at once. They spread out, forming a shared space, a common ground. This sharing creates stability, not rigidity, but a kind of mutual rest. You can imagine it like two people leaning against each other, each one lighter because the weight is shared. Some bonds are strong and enduring. Others are brief, forming and breaking with ease. Water molecules, for example, are constantly linking and releasing, holding hands for a moment, then letting go only to meet again somewhere else. This constant forming and unforming is not chaos, it is flow. Water feels calm because its bonds are flexible. They allow motion without collapse. They allow change without loss. Metals, on the other hand, hold differently. Their atoms arrange themselves in repeating lattices, electrons flowing freely through the structure like a shared sea. This is why metals conduct electricity. This is why they bend instead of shatter. Salt crystals assemble through attraction between opposite charges, positive and negative finding balance in a quiet geometric dance. Each particle knows where it belongs, not by instruction, but by feel. Even now in the room around you, these patterns are everywhere. The bed frame holds its shape because of countless bonds agreeing to stay. The walls stand because minerals and compounds learned how to lock together over long time. The air remains invisible and light because its molecules choose distance over closeness. And your body is a masterpiece of bonding. Proteins folded just so, lipids forming gentle barriers, DNA held in its elegant spiral by hydrogen bonds, delicate yet persistent. Every cell is a conversation, every tissue is a community, and still you do not feel burdened by this complexity. You feel whole, because chemistry at its heart is not about force, it is about fit. Atoms do not cling blindly, they align, they respond to shape and charge, to the quiet geometry of possibility. This is why bonds can form and break without drama, why reactions can reverse, why matter is resilient. Holding in chemistry is rarely permanent, it is contextual, and there is a kindness in that. You are allowed to hold gently too, to rest without gripping, to be present without strain. As you lie there, perhaps you notice the way your body touches the bed in many small places, not one point of contact but many, each one sharing a little weight, each one offering a little support. This is how stability feels, distributed, shared. The room itself is a network of quiet holdings, air pressure holding structures upright, gravity holding everything close to the ground, electromagnetic forces holding atoms in place. Nothing is held alone. You may notice your breathing slow again, as if it has learned from these bonds. Inhale, a gentle gathering. Exhale, a soft release. Your thoughts might begin to mirror this rhythm, forming, dissolving, forming again. There's no need to keep them intact. Chemistry teaches that connection does not mean permanence. It means responsiveness. When conditions change, bonds can shift. When energy enters, structures can rearrange. When things cool, they can settle again. Change does not undo connection, it simply reshapes it. This can be a comforting thought if you let it be. The universe is not brittle, it is adaptable, and you, made of this same matter, carry that adaptability within you. As the night deepens, the room grows quieter still. The table fades a little further into shadow. The objects upon it lose their edges. What remains is the feeling of closeness, of being held by countless small agreements, all working together without noise. Atoms hold hands in the dark, molecules gather and part. Structures stand, not because they are rigid, but because they are balanced. And somewhere beneath your awareness, beneath thought, beneath effort, the chemistry of your body continues its patient work, forming and releasing bonds like quiet hands finding one another in sleep. Those quiet hands do not stay perfectly still. Even as they hold, there is movement woven into them, a soft, constant shifting like breath beneath sleep. You may notice it now, not as a thought but as a sensation, a gentle warmth in your chest, a faint pulse at your wrist, the slow rise and fall of your body guided by lungs that know the way. Nothing here is frozen. Nothing needs to be. The room carries a temperature, neither hot nor cold, just enough to be comfortable. The air brushes your skin, and in that brushing, tiny exchanges happen. Warmth moves. Coolness answers. Heat is not a thing you can hold. It is a motion you can feel. At the smallest scale, heat is simply movement. Particles shifting, vibrating, gliding past one another. The warmer something is, the more lively that motion becomes. This is a quiet truth of chemistry, and it asks nothing from you. As temperature rises, particles move faster. As it falls, they slow. You have felt this your whole life, in the way cold air sharpens the skin, in the way warmth loosens muscles, in the way a cup warms your hands on a winter night. Imagine snow resting on the ground, each crystal held in a delicate shape, its molecules arranged just so. When warmth arrives, that arrangement begins to soften, not all at once, not violently. The molecules begin to move a little more. They loosen their grip, edges blur. The crystal sighs into water. Change, in chemistry, is rarely sudden. It is gradual, expressive. The same is true for you. Your body carries warmth within it, generated by countless reactions that release small amounts of energy. Every heartbeat, every breath, every quiet repair happening in your cells. You do not feel these reactions individually. You feel their combined glow. Even now, as you rest, your body is busy in the gentlest way, breaking down nutrients, rebuilding tissues, balancing ions across membranes, all of it guided by temperature, by motion, by the steady desire for balance. The blanket over you holds warm air close, slowing its escape. The mattress beneath you absorbs heat, then returns it slowly. The room participates in this exchange, walls and floor sharing in the slow conversation of warmth. Nothing wastes energy here. It simply moves, seeking evenness. In chemistry, reactions happen when particles collide with enough energy and the right orientation. But even collisions are not crashes. They are meetings. Two molecules approach, they touch, they adjust. Sometimes they part unchanged. Sometimes they rearrange, forming something new. Fire is one tempo of this dance. Fast, bright, releasing energy quickly. Rust is another. Slow, patient, unfolding over years. Digestion moves at a steady pace, breaking food into smaller pieces, releasing energy little by little. Breathing is quieter still, exchanging gases with every inhale and exhale. Different speeds, same language. The language of change is written in motion. You might notice now that your thoughts are moving more slowly, not stuck, just unhurried. This too is a kind of cooling. As the body relaxes, as the night deepens, activity shifts. Systems that worked hard during the day begin to ease. Others take their place. Tending, repairing, restoring. There is wisdom in this rhythm. Nothing is expected to stay at one temperature forever. Nothing is meant to remain in one state. Change does not mean loss. It means transition. A molecule that releases energy is not disappearing. It is becoming something else. A body that rests is not failing. It is preparing. The world around you has always known this. Seasons turn, water cycles from liquid to vapor to rain, rocks weather into soil, and through all of it, chemistry keeps time, not with clocks but with motion. You can feel this time now, not as minutes, but as softness, as the lengthening space between thoughts, as the warmth spreading evenly through your limbs. Your breath deepens, your jaw loosens further, your shoulders sink. Even the mind, which loves to rush, begins to learn a slower pace. There's no need to hold on to anything. Change is already happening, gently, safely. The night does not demand stillness. It offers it. And as the temperature of the room remains steady, as your body finds its balance, warmth flows through everything like a quiet tide, moving without urgency, never stopping, carrying you softly toward rest. That quiet tide of warmth does not end at the edges of the room. It continues the way a breath continues beyond the moment you notice it. And as it flows, your awareness drifts with it, gently lifting, widening without effort. The warmth in your body becomes a sense of space. The space becomes a horizon. And without leaving the comfort of where you rest, your attention begins to look outward. Not sharply, not with strain, more like opening your eyes inside a dream. The ceiling above you fades into shadow, and beyond it, the idea of distance softens. Walls become suggestions. The room becomes a small island of light in a much larger dark. Outside, the night is at work. The sky stretches overhead, even if clouds hide it from view. Stars burn quietly, their light travelling for years, centuries, longer before it reaches anywhere at all. Planets move in slow arcs, guided by gravity, guided by balance. And beneath all of this vastness, the same quiet rules are at play. The same chemistry that steadies the mug on the table, the same interactions that warm your skin, the same gentle negotiations between particles. Nothing new was invented for the stars. Nothing special was added for life. The universe is economical in that way. It uses the same principles everywhere, adjusting only scale and tempo. Inside your body, cells are busy with chemistry so subtle you never feel it directly. Atoms bonded into molecules, molecules arranged into proteins, proteins folded into machines that build, repair, and communicate. Each cell is a small city, humming softly, not loud, efficient. Chemical signals pass across membranes. Ions drift through channels. Energy is stored, released, passed along like a candle flame shared without going out. This is not separate from the night sky. It is made of the same stuff. The calcium that strengthens your bones did not originate on Earth. It was formed long ago in the heart of a massive star, under pressures and temperatures beyond imagination. When that star reached the end of its life, it scattered its elements outward, seeding space with the materials for planets, for oceans, for bodies. The iron that carries oxygen through your blood was forged in stellar cores, where lighter elements fused into heavier ones, releasing energy that made stars shine. That iron travelled through space as dust, gathered into Earth, and eventually became part of you. This is not metaphor, it is history. You're wearing the aftermath of ancient explosions in the quiet rhythm of your pulse. And yet, this knowledge does not need to feel overwhelming. It can feel intimate. Those stars are not distant strangers. They are ancestors. The same chemical preferences that guide atoms in your cells guided atoms in those stars. Electrons seeking balance, nuclei finding stability, energy flowing from places of abundance to places of need. Scale changes, rules remain. A planet forms slowly, dust grains sticking together, molecule by molecule, guided by attraction and chance. Over time, gravity shapes that growing body, pulling material inward, increasing pressure, generating heat. Heat drives chemistry. Chemistry shapes matter. On Earth, water pooled, molecules met. Complexity grew, not by plan but by persistence. Life did not appear suddenly. It accumulated. Simple reactions led to more complex ones. Molecules that could copy themselves gained an advantage. Structures that could protect reactions allowed them to continue. All of it was chemistry, leaning toward patterns that could last. And now, here you are, a living arrangement of ancient elements resting in the dark. The night sky above you is still making elements. Stars still burn. New matter still forms. But there is no urgency in it. The universe has time. You can feel that time now, not as duration, but as steadiness, as patience. When you look up at the stars, even in imagination, you are seeing the past. Light takes time to travel. Some of the stars you picture may no longer exist as they once did, and yet their influence remains. Their light arrives. Their elements persist. This is another quiet lesson of chemistry. Change does not erase connection. Even when a star collapses or explodes, it does not vanish into nothing. It transforms. Its matter becomes something else. Just as in your body, when cells are replaced, when molecules are recycled, nothing is wasted. Atoms are reused. Patterns shift. The universe is very good at reuse. You might feel a sense of smallness here, but it is not the shrinking kind. It is the comforting kind. Small enough to rest. Small enough to be held by something larger. Belonging does not require significance. It requires connection, and you are connected. The same chemical laws that hold galaxies together hold your thoughts together, loosely now, softly. The same balances that allow stars to shine allow your body to rest without falling apart. You do not need to understand every step of this story. You only need to feel that it is a shared one. The night outside and the warmth inside are not opposites. They are expressions of the same quiet order. As you lie there, perhaps you notice the darkness behind your closed eyes deepen. Not empty, full of slow motion, full of gentle processes continuing without your attention. Stars burn, cells breathe, electrons drift, all of it guided by the same unhurried principles. And as the vastness settles into a sense of closeness, starlight seems to soften, sinking quietly into matter, as if the universe itself has learned how to rest. That resting starlight does not stay far away. It drifts inward, slowly, the way warmth returns to your hands after being held out in cool air. The vastness narrows gently until it becomes something intimate again, until it becomes you. You are here, in your body, lying in the dark. And your body is not separate from the story we've been telling. It is one of its most careful expressions. Notice your breath again, not to change it, just to feel it. Air moves in, cool and faint. Air moves out, warmer, softer. The rhythm is steady, almost shy, as if it doesn't want to draw attention to itself. Your chest rises, your chest falls. This simple motion is chemistry in its most generous form. Oxygen slips from the air into your blood, crossing thin membranes where molecules meet and exchange without sound. Carbon dioxide leaves, returning to the room, joining the quiet atmosphere that holds the night together. You do this thousands of times a day, and now you do it without effort, without thought. The body is an experiment that learned how to run itself. Inside you, reactions unfold in darkness. Sugars are broken down. Energy is released in small, manageable portions. Heat is produced just enough to keep tissues warm and flexible. Nothing here is rushed. Nothing is wasted. Your stomach rests now, or works slowly, finishing its quiet tasks. Enzymes meet molecules like careful keys finding familiar locks. Pieces are rearranged. Useful parts are kept. Others are set aside. Your liver filters, your kidneys balance. Your cells repair tiny imperfections in their structures, fixing what the day has worn thin. This is not labour, it is maintenance, and it happens best when you're not watching. Chemistry does not need supervision. It needs conditions, warmth, water, time. You've given it all three. Neurons in your brain pass messages using chemical messengers, neurotransmitters released into tiny gaps between cells. One cell releases, another receives. The signal moves on. Some of these messengers encourage alertness, others invite calm. As night deepens, the balance shifts. Chemicals that support rest become more present. Those that sharpen edges fade slightly into the background. This is not a switch, it is a dimmer. Your thoughts soften because the chemistry of your brain is changing its emphasis, not because you command it. Because it knows the time. Melatonin rises, cortisol falls. These are just names for processes that feel like relief. You may feel heaviness behind your eyes, a warmth spreading across your face, a loosening in your jaw. These sensations are not instructions, they are invitations. The body does not force sleep. It creates the conditions where sleep can arrive. And if your mind resists a little, that is all right. The chemistry continues anyway, patient and unbothered. Your heartbeat slows slightly, not dramatically, just enough. Blood flows through vessels lined with cells that respond to signals, widening or narrowing as needed. Pressure adjusts, balance is maintained. You're not holding yourself together, you're being held. Under the blanket, your skin releases warmth. Tiny blood vessels adjust their diameter, sharing heat with the surface, then drawing it back in. The blanket traps air, slowing the loss, creating a small climate just for you. This is comfort translated into physics. Even your muscles, which carried you through the day, are now changing their chemistry. Calcium ions retreat into storage, fibers lengthen, tension dissolves. If there is any place that still holds tightness, you do not need to push it away. Just notice it, the way you might notice a knot in a piece of string. Given time, it loosens. The brain too is changing how it uses energy. Patterns shift. Networks that were active all day begin to quiet. Others take their place, more diffuse, more rhythmic. This is where dreams begin to gather, not as stories yet, but as motion, as images without edges, as feelings without words. Chemistry lays the groundwork long before the dream appears. You're safe to let go because your body does not forget how to be itself when you stop paying attention. It has been practicing since before you were born. Every cell in you is surrounded by a membrane, a soft boundary made of lipids that keep some things in and others out. These membranes are fluid, not rigid. They move and flex, allowing proteins to shift and signals to pass. Even your boundaries are gentle. Inside those membranes, molecules drift in watery solution, meeting, separating, meeting again. It is not chaotic, it is responsive. The body is not a machine that wears down. It is a process that renews. As you rest, damaged proteins are broken apart and replaced. DNA is checked and corrected. Waste products are gathered and prepared for removal. This happens most effectively when the mind is quiet, which is why you are here now, why the night matters. You may feel a subtle glow in your chest or belly, not light exactly, but warmth that feels alive. That is metabolism, slowed and steady like a fire banked low for the night. You may hear a faint ringing in your ears, or the sound of your own breath amplified by stillness. These are not disturbances. They are signs of space. Space for chemistry to work without interruption. You do not need to visualize every reaction. You can trust that they are happening. Trust is part of rest. The stars we spoke of earlier burn through nuclear reactions, fusing atoms together under immense pressure. Your body works through chemical reactions, rearranging molecules under much gentler conditions, different scales, same principles. Energy moves, matter changes, balance is sought, and always there is a tendency toward ease. If you imagine your body now from a distance, not as a shape, but as a field of quiet activity, you might see tiny points of motion everywhere, not frantic, coordinated. Like a city at night, lights dimmed, traffic slowed, essential services continuing in the background. Most windows are dark, a few glow softly. That is your body right now. The mind does not need to stay awake to supervise this city. It can rest. And as you give it permission, as you let your awareness sink a little deeper into sensation, into warmth, into the simple fact of being here, something else begins to happen. The sense of effort fades. Breath breathes itself. Heart beats itself. Chemistry balances itself. You're no longer the manager. You are the guest. Held in a system that knows your shape, knows your needs, knows how to care for you in the dark. And as the night continues its slow turning, your body glows faintly with quiet reactions, like a city dimming its lights for night, steady and safe, preparing for sleep. That quiet city within you continues to dim, not shutting down, just softening its lights. Windows go dark one by one, streets empty without hurry. The essential paths remain, glowing faintly, enough. You do not need to follow them. Your awareness loosens its grip, the way a hand relaxes after holding something all day. What remains is not absence, it is background, a hum, a presence that no longer asks to be noticed. Chemistry has moved into that background now, still active, still precise, but no longer inviting thought. You feel this shift as a kind of ease. Breathing becomes less interesting, which is a good sign. It fades into rhythm, the rise, the fall. Your heartbeat does the same. Once noticeable, now distant, like music in another room. The body has entered a state where reactions continue without supervision, and they always have. In chemistry, there is a concept called equilibrium. It sounds technical in daylight, but at night it feels simple. Equilibrium is what happens when processes balance, when forward and backward motions match, when change continues, but nothing needs to net out differently. Water molecules evaporate from a surface, while others condense back. Reactions proceed and reverse at equal rates. Motion remains, yet the system rests. Stillness within movement. This is the state you are drifting toward. Not asleep yet, perhaps, but no longer fully awake. Your body temperature has dropped slightly, just enough. Your muscles are slack. Your jaw hangs open a little. Thoughts, when they arise, are thin and slow. They do not link together into stories. They appear, they dissolve. This is not failure of the mind. It is a change in chemistry. Neural activity becomes more synchronized, less jagged. Waves lengthen. Patterns repeat. The brain begins to favor rhythms that do not analyze, do not plan. They simply carry sensation. You may notice images flicker behind closed eyes, colors without shape, scenes without narrative. These are not dreams yet. They are the doorway. The chemistry that once supported alertness has shifted its balance. Signals encouraging vigilance have quieted. Signals inviting rest now circulate more freely. You're not being pulled, you're being allowed. The room around you feels farther away. Edges soften even more. Sounds lose their meaning, becoming texture instead. A car passes somewhere in the distance, and instead of pulling you outward, it moves through you like a wave through water. Your body no longer reacts, it receives. This is another truth chemistry teaches quietly. Not every process needs attention. Most do better without it. You have learned, over time, to watch yourself closely, to monitor, to adjust, to correct. But tonight, you are practicing something older, letting go. The reactions that keep you alive have been running since before you had language. They do not need encouragement. They do not need praise. They only need space, and you have given them that. As your awareness drifts, you may feel moments of weightlessness followed by heaviness. A sensation of falling, then of sinking. These are normal. They are signs that the body is handing control back to deeper systems. The chemistry of sleep is patient. It waits until you are no longer gripping the edge of wakefulness, and then it takes over. You may feel warmth concentrate in your core, while hands and feet cool. Blood flow redistributes. Energy use shifts. The city goes quieter still. Reactions that once powered movement now power repair. Growth hormones release. Memories begin to sort themselves, not into logic, but into feeling. What matters is kept. What does not is allowed to fade. This happens whether you remember it or not. Equilibrium deepens. Forward and backward blur into one. Breath in and breath out become less distinct. Time stretches, then loosens its shape. You are not travelling anywhere. You are arriving at a place where chemistry hums softly beneath consciousness, like a river beneath ice. You do not need to name it. You can feel it. The hum is steady. Enough. Nothing presses. Nothing waits. Everything necessary is already happening, balanced and quiet, without effort or attention, as you drift further into the calm where reactions continue, unwatched, and perfectly content to do so. That quiet contentment spreads now, not outward, but inward, like fog settling into a valley, like a lake smoothing after a stone has long since disappeared. The hum remains, but it is softer. So soft it is almost indistinguishable from silence. You are still here, but the sense of you has grown lighter, thinner, less defined. The room has nearly let go of its shape. Walls feel distant. The ceiling has become an idea rather than a surface, and somewhere, very faintly, the image of the table returns. Not sharply, not as it was. It arrives like a memory recalled by touch instead of sight. The table is still set, but now it rests in deeper shadow. The mug no longer steams. The spoon no longer gleams. The glass of water is very still. Everything has settled into itself. This is what nearly everything looks like when it is resting. Chemistry has not stopped. It never stops. But it has slowed into its most comfortable rhythm, the one it chooses when there is nothing to prove, nothing to rush toward. Atoms continue their gentle vibration, but it is smaller now, more contained. Molecules still meet and part, but without urgency. Reactions proceed, then ease, then balance. The world is not asleep, it is breathing. And you are breathing with it. Breath comes, breath goes. You may not even notice the edge between them anymore. Words are beginning to lose their grip. Meaning dissolves into tone. Tone dissolves into rhythm. This is intentional. Language, like matter, is allowed to relax. The night holds you the way the table once held the objects upon it, without comment, without expectation. If a thought appears now, it does not carry weight. It floats through, translucent, unfinished. You do not follow it. Your body has grown heavy in the most pleasant way. Not pinned, anchored, as if gravity itself has learned how to be kind. Muscles have released what little effort remained. Fingers curl slightly. Toes rest without tension. Your face is smooth. Your eyes are still behind their lids. Inside, chemistry has reached a deep equilibrium. Forward and backward motions blur into a single presence. Change continues, but it no longer registers as change. This is the place where sleep begins to take over the story. Dreams are forming, but not yet shaped. They are only textures now, colours, temperatures, emotions without names. The brain has shifted its conversation inward. External signals are muted. Internal rhythms grow louder, then soften again. Waves lengthen. Patterns repeat. You are crossing the boundary where awareness loosens its claim. The table fades further. The idea of atoms fades too, not because they are gone, but because they no longer need your attention. Chemistry does not ask to be witnessed. It is content to work in the dark. The air in the room feels thicker now, not in reality, but in perception, like being wrapped in a quiet. Sound barely registers. Touch becomes diffuse. The world simplifies. There is only warmth, only breath, only the sense of being held by something vast and patient. This is where the story stops explaining and starts rocking. Repetition becomes comfort. Breath in, breath out. Warmth spreads. Warmth stays. The night is complete without effort. Somewhere far away, stars continue to burn. Somewhere deep inside you, cells continue to tend their work. Neither needs you awake. The same quiet rules apply everywhere, from the smallest motion to the largest glow. Nothing is excluded. Nothing is rushed. And now, the first image we began with returns one last time transformed. The table is no longer an object. It is a feeling, a sense of support, a sense of things resting where they belong. The air hums, as it did at the beginning. But now it hums within you, soft, even, endless. Nearly everything has found its place. And as matter everywhere settles into its gentle arrangements, you drift with it, unobserved, unrequired, until even drifting fades, and everything for now grows still.